Hey, Pastor Steve Waldron here. We're going to do just a little comparison of the ESV Study Bible with the New King James Version Full Color Study Bible. These are two of the most popular study Bibles today. Now, the New King James has done an amazing job. People who really like the King James, but just maybe the English, whatever, archaic language, they go to the New King James. And so the New King James is it's had a lot of staying power, and it's still one of the most popular Bible translations in the world in the English language. So the New King James Version, Thomas Nelson owns the copyright to it, or did, that's who originated it. I know Nathaniel Urshan was actually on the New King James Overview Committee. And then the ESV, put out by Crossway, and it's kind of the evangelical progenitor from the Revised Standard Version of the Bible. It did the Revised Standard, the New Revised Standard in '89 or whenever it came out. And then the ESV took the Revised Standard and evangelicalized it. Masterful job in the translation from Leland Ryken, saying we've got to keep the King James tradition. So amongst evangelicals, the ESV is huge, massive. Now, kind of as a popular translation, the NIV is still probably the best-selling popular modern translation. The King James, I read a statistic recently, I think it was put out by Pew Research, non-religious organization. They said of people who read the Bible on a daily basis, 51% read the King James. So it's still like the standard. But among modern Bible translations, they're going to use two different texts. This uses basically the majority or the Textus Receptus with some variation, and especially in the notes, whereas this is going to use the latest editions of the UBS 4th edition, the Nestle's on 27th, and they just updated it, and they may be coming out with another update, but they just updated it, and they were saying this is the final update ever, and then they said, okay, it's not going to be the final update ever. But let's look at what they are like as study Bibles. So these are two of the best-selling study Bibles in America. I'm just going to we're going to go to 2 Samuel 20. I'll leave that there. Let's see if I can get there in my New King James. Now, I do want to commend Nelson. Look at this. I mean, just unbelievable, the leather soft they do. I mean, it's like fine hand-tooled leather. But let me get to a similar 2 Samuel 20, and we'll just do like a test here of the amount of notes, print size. So this is 2 Samuel 20:16 through 21:13. This is 2 Samuel 19:22 through 20:12. So let's do the next page. This is going to be 2 Samuel 20:13 through 2 Samuel 21:18. So very similar. Now, they're both going to be kind of in paragraph format. And we'll just let you see the differences here. One is going to have, the ESV is going to have side column references, where the the New King James is going to have your traditional center column reference. Now, I prefer, when I'm referring to references, I prefer side column, but I prefer reading the text in a center column Bible because I like the 2-column format. And you can see the notes at the bottom. The quantity of the notes are going to be very similar. Now, I think both these have somewhere around 870,000 words of text, of explanatory text. They have more text than they have Bible, believe it or not, as far as commentary. Now, as I look at these, the New King James, to me, is more user-friendly because the headings within the text are going to be color. They're going to be color headings. Whereas this, being kind of in a single column format, the text itself just looks kind of blah, you know. And they didn't have a lot of references. Now, there is a lot of room to write. As you can see, one of the things about not having a lot of references here, it gives you a lot of room to write. I do want to show you what this Bible looks like without the dust jacket, by the way, because I thought they did a great job without the dust jacket. Because it looks very similar to the dust jacket, but just did a great job. It's red and black. Maybe it's because I'm from Georgia and the University of Georgia colors red and black. No, that is a joke, totally. Okay, but it does look like it's got a sewn binding in there. So let's look at the front, and then we're going to go, okay, so 2 million words with 20,000 notes and other resources, 200 full color maps, 200 plus charts, 50 plus articles. I mean, and that's the reason it's so huge. The print size is going to be about the same. Tells you who did what, who did the archaeology, contributors, all this kind of stuff. It's going to have a little section in the front, births, deaths, marriages, 4 pages, so that's good. Let's see what the introductions look like. Okay, let me just read this. In fact, Genesis seems to reflect very well its origin in the 2nd millennium BC. Moses lived in the 1500s or 1300s. So it's kind of going to have kind of a new evangelical flow there. So it's going to have, you know, large introductions. And the ESV is kind of trying to stake out a claim. The reason it doesn't have like a lot of bells and whistles is that this is, in the King James tradition, this is just a study Bible. This is for serious people. So this is an enormous introduction to Genesis. I can't begin to tell you how enormous this introduction to Genesis is. So once you got through reading that, you would be able to see all the pros and cons to Mosaic authorship, the early date versus late date, on and so forth. Now let's go to what the New King James Study Bible has. Which I see their blue ribbon marker. How did Nelson do this? This is just one of the most beautiful. Now, see, you can tell this is done a little more popularly, but not nearly the amount of information. But look how beautiful it is. So if I'm just into serious study, I go into the ESV Study Bible, knowing that it's going to have a new evangelical slant. If it's just a more popular study Bible, you go with the New King James Version Study Bible, because it's still going to have about 870,000 notes. This has 2 million. I didn't realize the difference was so vast. Now let's look at the size. You can tell the New King James looks to be maybe a hair thinner. But they're almost identical in size, almost identical in print size as well, both in the notes and in the text themselves. For some reason, I can read the New King James better. Again, I think that has to do with 2-column format, on and so forth. Like, look at this, what I just turned to in the New King James Study Bible. Now, obviously, I'm a big King James guy, but we just try to do all things Bible. So these are so popular, I just thought, well, I'm going to compare these two. Not red letter in here. Just kind of bland, blasé look. The in-text headings just kind of look, you know, they don't stand out at all. You can see that. Whereas obviously, being a different color, they are going to stand out in the New King James Study Bible. So we're going to go to the back and see what's in the back here. I may take a quick journey after Malachi and see what's after Malachi in both of them. Because sometimes, oh yeah. You would not, this thing is packed after Malachi. Packed. Jewish groups, New Testament. I mean, packed. Let's see if, while you're looking at that, let's see in the New King James and see if it's got anything after Malachi. A lot of people never know their study helps after Malachi. This is just beautiful. This is just so well done. Kudos to Nelson for how they developed this Bible. Okay, so the harmony of the Gospels is in the middle, and that's all. I'll show you the harmonies of the Gospels. See, they even make the harmony of the Gospels look good in this Bible. I mean, even the harmony of the Gospels looks great. Just fantastic. So let's see what it's got in the back. I'm just incredible. So, tables, weights, monies, prophecies of Jesus, teachings and illustrations of Jesus. Great thing. You really need to look that up sometime. Teach on that. What did Jesus say about ransom, reaping, receiving? I mean, that's just great stuff. Prophecies of Jesus, prayers of the Bible, miracles of Jesus, subject index and annotations to the features, and then an excellent concordance. Let me show you the concordance. It's kind of small print. As you're looking at the concordance, we'll, oh, wow. Wow. You can just tell, this is just, I'm going to take us to the ESV. This is kind of in a positive sense, a beast of a Bible. Look at this, the archaeology of the Bible, the roots of the original languages. So just more for scholars. So the ESV is going to be like the sum total of new evangelical knowledge in one volume in a concise format, whereas the New King James Version is going to be more for popular Bible study. The Bible and world religions, the Bible and Confucianism, the Bible and Buddhism. See, even the fact that it's interacting with that is just amazing. Now let's see if the ESV Study Bible has maps at the back and how they compare with Nelson's maps. Nelson's back of the Bible maps have been lacking recently. Holman and different ones have really gone through it. So colophon, see, even colophon. I mean, you're just talking, yeah, this is bad to the bone there. Okay, map 10, map 12, map 14. So 15 maps. Show these to you in the ESV. Okay, now I'm hoping that Nelson used these maps in our Premier Study Bible, because they've been very ambiguous on which maps they're using. Look at these. Oh yeah, they have updated their maps. I still don't think they bring Israel through the Red Sea, but be that as it may, look at that. So even people who don't like new translations, a lot of them collect study Bibles or use the notes in study Bibles. Now, why would you do that? First of all, it's been my personal experience, you can get a lot of knowledge in a little bit of space. So like when I would go to the beginning of Genesis, I would get, in one page, I'm getting like a overview and a mini commentary of Genesis. And many of the various viewpoints. And so in the ESV Study Bible, I would even be getting some of the theological nuances in a little more. And so without buying a textbook, without going to Wilmington's Guide to the Bible or something, so a lot of things transcend translation. You know, Mosaic authorship, gap theory, young earth creationism, archaeological finds. Translation has nothing to do with that. So you can just go and look at these various articles and text articles, language studies, word studies, all these type things. And you get a lot of bang for your buck, because a lot of times you can buy hardbacks. You can buy these on eBay, you can buy them CBD for sale, you can find them at Goodwill, on and so forth. So that's why you would do that. So a lot of people would say, well, you know, I just don't like the ESV. I don't even want it in my house. Well, that's your conviction. That's totally fine. But then they might have a Max Lucado book where he's quoting from the NCV all throughout the book. And so I'm not sure the difference there, except one has all of a modern translation, one don't. So you don't have to like the translation to utilize the study helps. So God bless. I love you. Let's live for Jesus. Let's see great revival in this end time. Talk with you later in Jesus' name.